winter when I heard that Tembec was moving the black liquor from the mill to the holding ponds, I was angry. The chance for freezing pipelines in the spill was too great, so I went with my grandpa to stand at the picket line to stop the trucks from passing. My grandpa would have been there too, but he lost his job at Tembec and at the time was working in Kandahar, Afghanistan. And here at home, Tembec was still trying to take the easy way out of their responsibility.
People can't hear back here.
Sorry. As predicted, spills did happen, and still we waited by the fence. As Christmas drew closer, the announcement was made that the blockade would come down. Tembec then trucked the black liquor to the ponds just like they wanted to in the first place. Nobody stopped them. This summer has passed, and the black liquor is still in the ponds at the end of the road. Orders have been in place to ensure a responsible cleanup of the mill since it closed, but nobody seems to be making sure that the orders are followed and that our environment is protected.
So I think part of what Cameron has shared is her recent experience of contamination at the mill. And I think for other people who are part of our community like Brian, his experience of seeing mercury and PCBs dumped into the lake as part of his work life, those two experiences are actually very, very similar. And I was thinking about what it means to hear from young people in our community. And I actually don't have a television, so I'm always intrigued when I see advertising. And I apologize to any of our American visitors if you haven't seen the Ally commercial. I don't actually know whether they're a bank or insurance company. But so there's a kid that goes around and collects eggs and puts them in a basket, and a guy takes the eggs, and the kid says, "Where are my eggs?" And he says, "Well, it's the egg management fee." And kind of the punchline of that is, even kids know it's wrong to take something that's not yours. And I think the message that we're hearing from our young people today is that even kids know it's not okay to make a mess and not clean it up. It's not okay to leave that as somebody else's responsibility. And I think because of the power of that, we really need to move this project forward for ourselves, for the people of Peak River, probably most particularly for our youth. And so I think what I, as a community member, look for from you as the Binational Forum representatives is simply your bearing witness to this process for us. Any clout that you can leverage around funding that may help us to move this forward is certainly absolutely appreciated. That's critical for us. And I think as well, part of what I take away from today and part of what we may hear in the mining context is that laying the rules for new industry on this lake is just so fundamentally important so that we don't, as communities, find ourselves in the situation of trying to figure out who owned what and made money from what so that they can pay for something that they didn't see happen 50 years ago. And I think as a Binational Forum, perhaps you're in a place where you can influence legislative policy. I don't actually know. But if you can, I think as we move forward as communities that share this lake, influencing how we move forward and how we hold corporations accountable to our lives on this lake is really fundamentally important. Thank you.